Good afternoon, and welcome to the March 1st meeting of the Brentwood Rotary Club. For those of you that are visiting, my name is Michael King, and I am the president of this club. 4 more months. Okay, before we get to the invocation and pledge, I do have a few folks that we need to keep in our prayers. Greg Irvin lost his mom, I think, last weekend. So please keep Greg in your prayers. For those of you that have been in the club for a while and knew Hank Gildermeister, Hank passed away this week. Hank was, when I became a member of the club, Hank was one of the first folks that kind of took me under his wing and had me sit at the table with him and whatnot. So I'm going to miss Hank a lot. And then Bill McCarthy gave us an update on John Stokes. Remember last week we said he had surgery. It come to find out right now, it looks like John has malignant bladder cancer. Not sure how they're going to proceed from here. There's a lot of different things that they can do, but please keep John in your prayers as well. Rick Finke will give us our invocation, followed by the pledge and 4-way test by Chris Wilson. Thanks.
Will you please bow your heads in prayer with me? We pray in thankfulness for all the many blessings in our lives, the blessings of this Rotary Club, of our community, living in Tennessee and in this country. We also pray in thanksgiving for the blessings of the Martin Center here, all their staff and employees, and also for the people that are helping us with the catering. As was mentioned, please remember these special members with losses and be with John and Virginia as they deal with the medical issues in their life. Every day we encounter people that we do not know what they're dealing with or what the darkness in their life. Let us realize that we can be the light for these people and how important that is. Please be with all the members with the known needs in their lives and the things that are unknown. And we especially say today, will our ears and our actions be receptive to the words of our special speaker that is with us today? We pray these things in his name. Amen.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And next, please join me in our 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
this is the truth.
Second,
is a fair law concern.
Third,
will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth,
will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Okay, Secretary Keeley Hall will introduce our guest and visiting Rotarians.
All right, let's see. Devin McClendon. Would you like to reintroduce your guest, Don Robinson? He's sitting across the table from you, Devin.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Don as a member, right? Don is a former member of our club. Don Robinson, retired from the development and construction industry. Y'all make him feel welcome.
And we have a couple of hello to our viewing audience at home. How are you today? Lovely to see you today. We have a couple of visiting Rotarians. We have, let's see, Bob Stokes. Bob Stokes is from the downtown club. Is that correct? Downtown Nashville? Welcome to you. Would you like to say a few words to the group here?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I didn't expect to speak, but good afternoon to all of you. It's my first time visiting, and yes, I am a member of the Downtown Club. I'm advised with Edward Jones. I work in Maryland Farms here, so I do a long commute every Monday down to the Wild Horse. So someone suggested I should come check you guys out. So that's right.
We're very glad to that someone. And we have our regular guest, Bruce Arnheimer. And Bruce, I think you attend our club more often than you attend yours, or do you just double up every week?
No, I'm making makeups. So that's why I've been here lately. So thank you. By the way, it was from the downtown club. Might try the Brentwood Morning Club. If the
Cut his mic off.
Oh, Linus had a comment on that. Linus? Who invited you? All right, back to you, President Michael.
All right, Keely, thank you. All right, some announcements, and I've got the first one. So, listen up. As it is now March, you all know that we are about 6 weeks away from Pancake Day. April 13th this year will be Pancake Day. And as it pertains to Pancake Day, I kind of have what I consider to be a rather big announcement. As many of you know, in the beginning of this club, Pancake Day was the fundraiser that we had. As such, our members were responsible for raising a minimum of $200 each in support of those charitable endeavors. Now, when you fast forward to today, things have changed for this club. With the success of the golf tournament and the funds being raised there, as well with the evolution of our Pancake Day, with the increase of sponsorships and attendee donations, our fundraising efforts are no longer heavily reliant on that member assessment. So, based on several conversations between the BRCCF and the Rotary Board, we determined it might be time to revisit that Pancake Day assessment. Last month, the Rotary Board voted to do away with the $200 assessment on this condition. Starting this year, if a club member gets a sponsorship of $250 or more to either the Pancake Day or to the golf tournament, you are not obligated to participate with the $200 assessment on Pancake Day. Our thinking there is that we want to encourage our members to go out and get external contributions for our charitable endeavors rather than internal. By doing this, a couple things we think comes from this. One, we get to share with our community what it is that we do and what we support with our charitable foundations. Also, it exposes us to potential new members who are excited about some of the things that we support and may want to learn more about our club. So we think that at this point, given the success of everything that we've been doing and being more reliant on those things rather than the Pancake Day assessment, that if you do one, you don't have to do the other. Now, having said that, if you decide you're not able to get a sponsorship, the expectation is you will still support this club with your charitable endeavors, and you will do the $200 ticket sales. Now, we wanted to make that more voluntary than requirement, and so that's kind of how we're going to go with this going forward. We already have, so what that means for Pancake Day is that we will not have tables this year like we normally do. We already have teams set up for the golf tournament. And your team captains will be asking each member, what are you doing as far as sponsorships and so forth. You will just let your team captain know, yes, I'm doing sponsorships. No, I'm going to give you the $200 for the Pancake Day tickets, and here you go. Nothing else has changed with that. We still expect you to disseminate those tickets because Pancake Day is reliant on people at the door. So you're still going to get your tickets, get them out. If you're going to get out a boatload of tickets, that's great. We want as many people showing up for Pancake Day as we can possibly get. We just kind of want to shift some of that away from our members. And so hopefully that's a positive for everyone. And having said that, Larry Kane has an announcement about the golf tournament. Yes, sir. That there's still what we've done is if they still want, we don't really have people buy tickets. We ask for donations at the door, and that's still going to stay the same way. Oh yeah, absolutely. So in other words, the way Pancake Day has worked the last couple of years is we haven't really charged people for tickets. What we've said is the members get their tickets, they go out and hand them out to people. As people come into Pancake Day on that Saturday, we have members up there with the donation buckets, and we'll have people that will just donate. And it's been getting better and better each year. Each year, more and more of our attendees are programmed to know, okay, look, I'm coming to Pancake Day. I am going to donate to their charitable causes and whatnot. So it has worked out really well. Because of that and the sponsorships of Pancake Day, the success of the golf tournament, we're not reliant on as much on that $200 that we once were. I think this helps alleviate some of that financial burden. Ideally, if you still want to give the $200, that's great. Give it directly to the BRCCF. We'll be more than happy to take it. We just don't want that to necessarily be a requirement. You're going to have one or the other. Any other questions? Larry?
To give you a little golf tournament update, which kind of feeds into what Michael was just talking about. As I told you last week, I think, we have sold all of our major sponsors. You know, we had a list of 12 or so major sponsors. We've sold all of those, so that's good. That accounts for about 45% of our income for the golf tournament. 45%. How many of you, this is a question I'm checking on, how many of you have received the list of new sponsors we have? Okay, got a few. My team captains need to get that out to you. We have made up 15 new sponsorships for the golf tournament. We've already sold 4 of them this week. So they're out there. I will make sure your team captains get those to you. This replaces the ones we've already sold, and they're good sponsorships. There's some new ones on here you've never seen before. Hi Charles. If you've run a golf tournament, and they are good sponsorships. So I'll make sure you get those. Take a look at that. There's some good opportunities to sell on there. I'm sorry? They're online. Jack's got them on the website. We have sold all of our player spots. We're full. We're not taking any more players. I told you we're going to take 120 players. We've got 132. That's okay. We can handle 132 players, but we're not taking any more. There's a waiting list now. If anybody wants to sign up, we can put them on a waiting list, and maybe somebody will drop out. So let's take a quick look at numbers. You know I like numbers on the golf tournament, and this will give you a little bit of an insight into where we are right now. We've got 19 hole sponsors sold to date. 19. 13 of those 19 are renewals from last year. So we've sold 6 new hole sponsors, which is great, and 13 from last year. That means there's 128 hole sponsors from last year we've not heard from. You guys have the access to those. So I'm not worried about it. I know you're going to call them, but let's don't wait too late to call them and remind them that they had a hole sponsor last year. Need to update that hole sponsor this year, and then find another one while you're at it. Because remember, our goal this year is 200. We sold 141 last year. We want 200 this year. The reason why that's important, can y'all see this? Kind of, sort of. During the month of April, May, and June, there are approximately, and this is a wild guess on my part, but it's pretty accurate, 70 golf tournaments in our area in Middle Tennessee. 70. So that means right now and going forward, hi, I'm from XYZ. We're having a golf tournament. I want you to be a hole sponsor. They're calling on the same people that we are. There's only a limited number of customers of potential sales out there. So there's 70 golf tournaments doing the same thing we're doing. Some of them have already started. LBMC, our major sponsor, told me the other day they'd had 6 contacts from golf tournaments wanting them to sponsor already. So I'm showing you that because I'm telling you the 128 is a big number we need. Don't let those get taken by another golf tournament. Because somebody's going to be calling on those folks and asking them for 200 or 250 or 300, whatever their whole sponsor sign is. Don't let that happen. Everybody got that? Okay, real quick, I want to recognize two people. Jack Massari, come on up here. Come on. Devin, come on up here. Devin McClendon, to date, has sold 4 major sponsorships and 1 whole sponsor. That's 42.5 points. Cap it up. 42.5 points, $4,250 in sponsorship, by far ahead of anybody else at this point in time. So, thank you. Enjoy something. Now, I really like this story. I gave you all a list early on of potential host sponsors. Everybody remembers that. We talk about it all the time. You probably looked down this list and said, that won't work, that won't work, that won't work, that might work, that won't work, that won't work. Well, I can guarantee you, when you look down the list, about the 10th one down says, your utility service. So everybody went, well, yeah, right. Mr. Massari sold a whole sponsor to Middle Tennessee Electric. Now, I'm going to ask you, is there anybody in the room that thinks you could have sold a whole sponsor when you read the list to Middle Tennessee? I didn't. And probably 98% of us pay them a bill every month, right? Jack went and did just what Jared said. Just ask. And he asked, and they bought a whole sponsorship. That's all it takes. Middle Tennessee Electric, come on. Jack, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good job, guys. So that's it. We're doing good. We need to sell those host sponsors. So if you've got one in your back pocket, or 2 or 3 or 4, which a lot of you do, please go ahead and get those taken care of. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Jack, see what you can do with Comcast. We really need money from them. Jane Covington has a Pancake Day announcement.
Pancake Day, and I hope you enjoyed your time in our club. Seriously, if you would just let us know, because the personnel committee does in a couple of weeks start making individual phone calls to folks that we've not heard from, so save us a phone call if you reach out proactively and let us know that you can't make it. There are 2 ways to sign up. You should have received yesterday an email that came from Sarah Johnson's email address. That gives you the link for online sign up, and if you'll just choose the shift that you're able to work, or multiple shifts hopefully, then we will assign the actual jobs, and we'll start in a couple of weeks putting out draft assignments that we'll have time to make adjustments as necessary. The other way to sign up is the form that's on your table today. I just put a couple on each table. So if you don't do online sign up, if you would please fill out that form, and I'll pick it up at the end of the club meeting. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jane. Alan Treadway, you are on for Happy Bucks.
All right. I want to thank John Miles for dipping it in the pot roast. Okay, so do you want to start out, talk about the big UT ripoff on Ole Miss? What a ripoff.
That's payback for the previous game they lost to LSU.
Okay. Tom Carr.
Oh, God.
You know, you guys are in for a real treat today. You should be honored to have Chris Hope here with you today. There's a lot of things he's done in life that's great. Probably the greatest decision he ever made was to attend the finest university in the United States of America, where coincidentally I attended before he was born. And he played football for the greatest coach in college football history. That was Bobby Bowden, and that was the Florida State University. Yes, I'm serious, he did. Chris, you're going to look out across a wasteland today of Roll Tide Go Big Orange, and how about them dogs? But I want you to know there are a couple of us Seminoles that are out here in the audience that we got your back, brother.
Don't forget
all
War
times.
Eagle.
Yeah, War Eagle, whatever. And yeah, and maybe some, what is it, Hottie Toddy or whatever. But yeah, there's a couple of them out there. But there are a couple of Seminoles, so we kind of bring the crowd up for you. We've raised the level. I want you to know we've got your back, and go Noles.
All right. Who else? Bernie? You got your dollar?
A while back, another member honored or marked their 35th wedding anniversary with $35 in Happy Bucks. I thought that was a really cool idea, and I even thought that, you know, it was worth pursuing. Might catch on and become a customer. So toward that end, yesterday being my 66th wedding anniversary, I'm dropping $66 in the basket.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, Bernie, I feel bad about what? There you go.
I can promise you when I get to 15, I'm cutting it off. I don't care what happens.
Jim Villers.
Jamie and I are leaving next Thursday for 10 days in Israel.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations. Chief.
I put $1 in for Devin McClendon winning the championship, so I don't have to listen to Hughes for another year.
There you go. All right. Nathan.
$13 for 13 years of no alimony.
Right. Okay. All right. There you go. You got anything to say? You got anything? No? Okay. All right. Anybody else? Let's see. Sure there's somebody else. Charles.
I just want to, nice comment for Kip Dotson, wherever he is. I saw him on his way in. There he is. Kip was nice enough. He spent an entire year encouraging me to go on this ski trip, to take my son and go on this annual ski trip. And I did it, and I'm so grateful I did it. We had an amazing time. Kip is an amazing skier. If you ever go on this trip, you'll learn what I learned, which is he may invite you, but he's not necessarily going to ski with you unless you like to ski down cliffs through trees. So he very generously hung back with me just long enough. He constantly wanted to make sure I was, having a good time. And we had a wonderful time. My son and I are closer in ability, so we skied together. But wonderful trip. Thank you for looking out for us.
All right. All right. You want to say anything on Florida State?
He said enough.
Okay. All right. I think that's going to do it.
All right. Thanks, Alan. You know, Sonny Bono used to like to ski straight downhill through trees. That didn't work out too well for him either. I'm here all week, folks. All right. Now that we got that Florida Seminole crap out of the way, can you please, Sybil, come introduce our speaker?
Well, I think it's only begun, but oh.
You owe us for that.
What the heck? Great start. I know. I imagine you would. Why am I okay. Chris Hope and his wife Linda are devoted Christians who serve as leaders in the Mount Zion Baptist Church here in Nashville. They are passionate philanthropists who focus on addressing the social and educational needs of underserved communities through their charitable organizations. The I See Hope Charitable Fund, founded by Chris, and Motherless Queens, Linda's newly founded organization. Chris is a native of Rock Hill, South Carolina, and a retired NFL stand-up who earned numerous accolades during his 12-year playing career as one of the most elite safeties in the NFL, receiving honors such as All-Pro, being named to the Pro Bowl and also winning Super Bowl 40 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chris enjoyed 4 seasons in Pittsburgh, followed by 6 years with the Tennessee Titans, and his last 2 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons and Detroit Lions. Prior to being drafted by the Steelers, Chris was the epitome of a student athlete while playing for Bobby Bowden at Florida State University. He dominated on the field, earning all ACC and All-American honors, even winning a national championship while playing for the Seminoles. Yes. As a standout in the classroom, Chris was named an academic All-American, graduating from Florida State with a bachelor's degree in communications. Since Chris's NFL career, he has found success in several entrepreneurial ventures and became a published author with his newly released book, Pros, an acronym for parents relying on their seeds. Chris and his wife, Linda, are happily married college sweethearts and the proud parents of 2 incredible children, Chrislyn, age 5, and Christopher, age 3. The vibrant, fun, Christ-loving family resides in their beautiful home in Brentwood, just 2 doors from me and my husband. Please join me in welcoming, who I think I can safely say, the strongest man in the room today, Chris Hope.
Trying to make the same mistake you made. I am indeed in a great place. You guys are pretty fun. Never know what I was getting into. If I'd known there was going to be so many college and NFL supporter fans, I should have just brought the videotape and watched some film. I'll do that next time. First and foremost, I would like to thank God for giving me this opportunity to share these few moments with you guys. I'm a real stickler to time, so I know many of you may have to go back to work or get back to your lives. I know this is a time commitment, so I won't be the reason you're late back to work, so I'll get you out of here in time. I would like to take this time to thank the Rotary Club for allowing me to be the guest speaker, President Mr. King, and my good friend here, Mr. Charlie. Had an opportunity to spend some time with Charlie maybe a few weeks ago. We went to breakfast, poured into each other, got a chance to learn a little bit about me and more about who I am and not just about what you can Google about me. And I would like to thank my lovely neighbor, Miss Buchanan. She's a nice young lady, and she's the person that suggested that I come speak with you guys. Again, I never heard of the Rotary Club here in Brentwood, but I am been welcomed and I enjoyed my time so far. So I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. As I sit back and listen to her introduce me, I have to be honest, for a moment, I didn't realize if it was going to be another speaker in here or not, because some of the things she said made me feel pretty good about myself, just for a tad moment. You know, an old friend of mine told me once that a man doesn't know good music if he doesn't know how to toot his own horn. So hearing that from her made me feel special. But is that the true story? Is that really who Chris Hope is? Am I defined by what Wikipedia, these search engines on the internet, Google, all these things? Am I really who they say I am? Or am I defined by what they say about me on the internet? As I define what the internet means and what the stories they create about athlete or former athlete like myself, some of it may be surfacey and some of it may be true, not true. So when I think about what makes a relationship, I think about words like accountability, dependability, loyalty, respect, and trust. Those are what makes a person's true character. In which, after today, I hope that you will have a better understanding about who the real Chris Hope is, and we can build a relationship together. I talked to Mr. King about this earlier today, going back to when I first met Miss Sybil. She moved in our neighborhood, and we had a HOA meeting at one of the neighbors' house. and she lived 2 doors down from myself. And her husband and I walked back home. She just moved from California, so we started talking, getting more closer to each other. And along the way home, I found out where she was from. She's found out a little bit about myself, and I told her about this book I wrote. And she was appreciative enough to support my book. And from that, I told her one thing: I appreciate your support, but I would love your feedback. And her husband did a great job of that, instantly calling me back and telling me how my book affected their lives or impacted them. And from that, she said, well, going forward, what would you like to do? I said, well, in the real world, in the perfect world, I would love to form or reach out to book clubs or clubs like the Rotary Club and do a book club type of experience where you guys read the book and we come back into this intimate space like we are now and we dive in deeper on it. And she said, well, that sounds like a great idea. Well, let me talk to the president of the Rotary Club and see can we get you in to speak. And from there, hopefully this won't be my first and last time seeing you guys. So I thought it would be very important today for me to explain a little bit more in depth about who Chris Hope is. Miss Sybil did a great job of introducing me, and all those kind words I very much appreciate, but I'm a little deeper than that. And I know I don't have enough time to tell you my whole story in these 20 to 30 minutes, but I'll do my best as best I can. So first and foremost, I'm a child of God. I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for his grace and his mercy on my life. I'm a son to my mother and father. I'm the youngest of 3 children. I have an older sister, a middle brother, and I'm the baby. As Sybil said, I'm married to a beautiful young lady named Linda who I met in college. She went to FAMU. I went to Florida State. She was a freshman. The minute her feet hit the campus, I stole her. So she didn't get a chance to enjoy college as I did. But it was a good decision for myself. I have 2 amazing children. My daughter, who is Chrislyn, Chris and Linda. Tried to put that together, Chrislyn. You get that when you get home, I guess. She just turned 6. She's a kindergarten student at Innsworth. My son just turned 4 February 25th. His name is Christopher. You know, we didn't have too much creation in our house, so Chris, Chrislyn, Christopher. When my wife calls us, we all come, so works out for her. I'm an uncle. I'm a loving nephew, a supportive cousin, and a loyal friend. I'm a motivational speaker, a life coach, a mentor. I teach high school and college kids specific techniques about playing defensive back. I was a defensive back in the National Football League for 12 years, so I've been playing safety my entire life, so I have a little bit of history on that. I am a businessman, I'm an investor, and I'm a new author. I wear a lot of hats in my life, as you see. I was born in Rock Hill, South Carolina. That is around about 15 to 20 miles from Charlotte, which I'm sure you've heard of, Charlotte, North Carolina. One fun fact about my hometown, it's a textile city, about 67,000 people. ESPN coined my city in 2008, Football City, USA. If you Google Rock Hill, South Carolina, that probably will come up first. We've had the opportunity to send a good number of players that you probably have watched in the NFL in these last 10 to 15 drafts. I take great pride in that because I was one of the founding fathers of the Rock Boys, we call it. I come from very humble beginnings. I learned the value of a dollar from a young age. I learned the importance of treating every person I met with the same respect and dignity, no matter how they were, no matter how educated they were, what position they held, what their academic quotas was. I treated everyone the same way. I was raised in the church, and going to school every day and going to church every Sunday was a religion in itself for me. In fact, in my house, if you woke up every morning Everything else was non-negotiable. I was taught that in today's world, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And because of that, relationships are very important. I am a follower of Christ. I know many of you are asking or looking and saying, what is the difference between a child of God and a follower of Christ? It's a good question. No different than being born to your mom and dad. God is the creator of us all, and we didn't have a choice in the matter. He gave us our mother and our father. We didn't have a choice. He made that decision for us. But when I say I'm a follower of Christ, that's the decision I made. I had to make that decision. So when people ask, who is Chris Hope? I lead by that because that's the beginning of it. I am a follower of Christ who was blessed and fortunate enough to live out the football experience. I'm not a retired athlete that is a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ that was blessed and fortunate enough to live out the athletic experience. So many of us, not just athletes and entertainers, but lawyers, doctors, businessmen, even parents, stay-at-home moms, even wives and husbands. We get so lost in what we do that we forget about who we are. I'll say this, and I know this is not correct grammar, but I'm trying to make a point here. If we focus on whose we is and not what it is that we do, we won't get caught up and conform into what the world says we have to do. I lived by this quote from a very young age. I never allowed what I did to become who I was, because when I couldn't do it anymore, I would be a nobody. Never allow what you do to become who you are, because when you can't do it anymore, you'll be a nobody. I haven't played football in the last 4 or 5 years, and most people still recognize me. Believe it or not, Pittsburgh Steelers have an amazing following, so most people still recognize me as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And I've been here since 2005, and I can tell I've been here for a long time because there's not a place that I go that I don't recognize and know someone. Even in here, gentleman here, he and I have crossed paths and said hello to each other millions of times in Waffle House. Had to make sure Miss Sybil get the Waffle House. She's from California. She doesn't know anything about the awful waffle. But when we get lost in what we do and we forget who we are, it is so quick for us to become depressed, hopeless, invaluable, isolated, lost, and unmotivated. But again, if we know who we are in Christ, we'll never be defined by what we do or what we can't do anymore. I'm a student of life, which simply means that I'm always eager to learn new things and continue to look for new ways to grow in all aspects of my life. All aspects of my life. No matter how old we grow or we become, we have to be intentional and make it our purpose to continue to grow. People are always stunned when I tell them that football was my plan B. Football was my plan B. They seem amazed by that because I was such a great athlete. I played all sports in high school and middle school. Football, baseball, basketball, anything that was involved with sports, I could do it. But with that being said, I still was my plan B. As a student in my entire academic career, I only made one B. Straight A student, made one B in my entire academic career. I graduated at the top of my class in high school, and I graduated from Florida State with a 3.5 year summa cum laude and played football full time. Growing up, my parents always stressed the importance of making good decisions, making good grades, and staying out of trouble. In fact, sports in my house were a privilege, not a requirement. So we had to earn the right to play a sport, my siblings and I. If that wasn't the case, My dad and mom used to tell us that sports would be just something that you watched on TV or a dream like every other kid my age had in the neighborhood if I didn't take care of my responsibilities first. And I'm glad that that was instilled at me, because no matter how well I played the game of football or how long I played, it was soon going to come to an end. I played for 12 years. The expectancy or the lifespan of a football player in today's time is 2.5 years probably. I played 12. And that was a long time, but Tom Brady's on year 20 now. So that doesn't happen often, but if you look at all the guys that only played that 1 or 2 years, I knew sooner or later I would have to fall back on my plan A. And now that I'm retired, that's what I do. I get to travel the world, speaking to groups like yourselves, making an impact with my brains and not my body anymore. The mistake that most of us make in whatever career we're in, we don't plan for the end. We all have to exit the stage sooner or later. And the preparation for that will be more important. But more importantly than the preparation for retiring will be, what will you do next? That's where most of us have a bump in the road at. I'm a rookie author. Wrote my first book. And I discuss in my book the most delicate and most discerning issues that we all will be faced with at some point in time in our lives. This is about as far as I'll go about talking about the book, so I won't spoil it for you, but you have to, hopefully you'll support me and get it and read about it. It's a life changer. Which leads me to my last point. Have you asked yourself, why were you created? Why have you been created? What's your why? What's your why? If you know your why, you'll figure out your why not. And if your why is more important than your why not, you'll never quit. You never quit on yourself. You never quit on your marriage. You never quit on your dreams. You never quit on your teammates. You'll keep pushing through. That's only if you find out what's your why. Most of us live throughout our lives and never figure out our why. And if you don't know your why, you'll never figure out your purpose. But if you focus on, why has God created me? Why am I here? You'll figure out. And when times get rough, you always find a way to motivate yourself to push through. The Bible says in Mark 8:36, what is it for a man to gain the world, profit the world, and lose his soul? We are all in pursuit of success and dying to make our marks in this world. If I told you that you could achieve all your dreams and goals in life, everything you ever dreamed of, but in doing that, you wouldn't have healthy relationships with those that you love, or you wouldn't have those that you love the most there to support and celebrate your success, how many of you would take that deal? Anything you want to do in this world, you could have it, but you wouldn't have the relationships that mean the most with you. Wouldn't take that deal, right? But if you don't figure out your why, most of us are doing that. We're chasing dreams, chasing ghosts. You know, that dog that runs down the street chasing the car. He has no idea what he would do with the car if he ever caught it. He doesn't realize that one thing that he's chasing could possibly end his life. Think about that. He's chasing something that could possibly be the end of his life. That's going through life blameless and blind. Success is important. We all chase it. But significance is fulfillment. We have to learn to cling to God and not stuff. Not our money, not our jobs, not our titles, not our houses, not our titles. If you want true fulfillment in life, chase after God, and everything that you want will start chasing after you. In closing, I challenge each and every one of you to go find your true identity and do it with a good balance and health of boundaries. As you navigate through life, find who you truly are and who you belong to and not what the world says about you. You will then find out your true purpose in life. I also encourage you to determine what matters the most to you. Is it your money, fame, promotions, titles, traveling, toys, or is it healthy relationships with those you love the most? God knew that when he created us, we were all sinners. We were all going to fall short. But what he wants most out of us is relationship. Relationship. Not the Google relationship. Not type in Chris Hope, former NFL player. You can learn a few fun facts about me, and you can tell somebody and make them think that you know me. That's what most of our relationships are with God. Some story we've heard our grandparents tell us, some familiar quote we've heard some pastor say in church, and we can quote it back. We know the different scriptures in the Bible, but do we have an authentic relationship with God? I promise you that if you put God first, and again, if you chase after him in everything that you want in life, everything that you desire will start chasing after you. I'll open up the floor for any questions. Yes, sir.
We like what you say, and we like you, and we'd love to have you as a member of our noon club, morning club.
The noon club? Is that every Friday, or when are the meetings? Just every Friday. Miss Sybil has been recruiting me, so I didn't know she was trying to suck me into this the whole time. Yeah, but I'll try to open up the floor for questions. I know we have to get going, but yes, sir. The title of my book is Pros: Parents Relying on Their Seeds. So many, we all are parents in here, I assume. Yes. We've all been born to parents. That's the only way we got here. So I did some study on two principles that I hold true, like many of you. But in doing that, I created some very bad or unhealthy habits. And at the end of it all, I achieved everything that I desired to achieve in life, but I was unfulfilled. I was unhappy. I had broken relationships with those that were my motivation in the beginning to get where I wanted. And a guy asked me a question one day. He said, "What problem is there in the world that you know of, and what are you doing to try to fix it?" And that pierced my heart. So I began to do some soul searching, and that was one of the issues that I know is a major problem in the world. Regardless of how old you are, regardless of what profession you're in, how successful you are, we all, sooner or later, will have to depend on our seeds. As parents, you look at the biblical scripture and you realize that God created his son Jesus, the Father created his son Jesus to come to earth to fulfill his purpose by dying on the cross for all of us. That's parents relying on their seeds. We all want to live to be 100 years old. We all know we're going to die, but no one wants to die. And in being that way, sooner or later, your eyes are going to get bad. You're not going to be able to think as clear as you used to think. You're not going to be able to get around as much. Who are you going to rely on? Your seeds. Hopefully, you've been a good parent, and your children will run to the car to help you or to support you in any way they can. So I thought about all those different aspects, but in my profession, of course, coming from a black community, humble beginnings, listening to all the music and all the TV shows that the world says, when you make it, we all make it. Or this is what you're supposed to do when you get drafted. We take that Bible verse of honoring our mother and our father out of content. Honoring our mother and our father does not mean it comes with a Mercedes-Benz and a brand new house and a picket fence around it. But where I'm from and my experiences, that's what I thought. And throughout my career, I created bad habits by teaching them or giving them fish and not teaching them how to fish. So I want to stop the next generation of lawyers, doctors, dentists, businessmen from going into that trap of feeling like it's our responsibility to save those around us just because we have the same last name. That left me in a bad place. So that's what the book is about, creating healthy boundaries and seeing, can I be a loving person and with boundaries. You had a question, sir?
So you had all A's and one B.
Yes, sir. I knew you would ask that. I had a B, I want to say in the fifth grade was pretty hard to me for some reason. Fifth grade, I can't figure out why, but I think I had that B maybe in English or something. But it was the one B I had. Yes, sir.
After your very thoughtful comments, I'm almost embarrassed to ask a football question.
Oh, you can go ahead.
But in your 12 years in the NFL, what receiver was the most difficult receiver for you to cover?
The most difficult receiver, that's Randy Moss. Randy Moss was about 6'5.5". He probably ran a 4.27. He probably could jump 42, 44-inch vertical. But he was just amazingly athletic. I mean, his ball skills, the quarterback would almost throw the ball off the screen and you would be like, there's no way I could get there or he could get there. And sooner or later, it would be like Inspector Gadget. Go Gadget arms, and out of nowhere, he would snatch the ball. So he was a nightmare to think about. Yes, sir.
We all read about the NFL guys signing these 7 or 8-figure contracts, and then it seems like inevitably we'll read 5 years later that they're broke.
Right.
Or they're in trouble, they don't have anything. So, in your mind, is there enough being done by the NFL or whoever to help these guys to get all this money to help them get grounded like you are? Is that a program in progress or not?
They do a good job of sending speakers to kind of prevent the cycle from continuing. I think we've done a lot of research in the NFL of trying to prepare you for those days, but it's no different than reading the Bible. You know what's coming, but we still choose to live the way we want to live. And thinking about from the athlete's perspective, when you've been told that getting to the National Football League or getting to college is impossible. You've beaten the odds. You've continued to beat the odds. So when you get to the NFL and someone tell you that 50% of all players, or even high 75% of all players are going to be broke after 5 years of retirement, you sit in a meeting and say, well, he's not talking to me because I've beaten the odds already. But at the same time, in my book, I talk about how do you get to that point. You know, when you retire, you watch the draft this year. The first thing you're going to see, everybody that goes first round, the first thing they're going to say is, I just bought my mom a new house and a new car, right? So you buy that new house, new car. You don't know where you're going to live because you hadn't got drafted yet, or you've gotten drafted, excuse me. So you buy them a big house, big car, and you retire them, right? Parents around 45, maybe 50 at the highest, some a little younger. You retire them at that age, and you're 19, 21, between 19 and 21. You get this contract. You don't know Uncle Sam yet because no one seems to know Uncle Sam. You also don't know that the contract isn't 100% guaranteed. You also don't know how long you're going to play because you could get hurt at any second. But meantime, you done bought mom and dad this dream house that you dreamed about building them when you were a kid, which is a great idea for the most part, but you don't count the cost. So you pay for the house in cash or make payments. So if you got them a nice house in their hometown, you got to have a nice house in your city you plan in when they come visit you, right? Can't be a downgrade. I'm doing all the work, right? You buy them this nice car, but you retired them. So they got no income coming in. They're still young. You're still young. You hadn't got married yet. You have to pay taxes and bills at both houses because they have no income. Every time they go out to eat, they got to call you to put some money on their card. So the dynamics of the relationship has changed. So you see how fast you can go broke. Now, say you get hurt in year 1 or year 2 and you don't get the contract, you got a house, they got a house. Whose house going back? That's how it happens. But again, we don't think about that because you had that dream. I had that dream of making it to the NFL and buying my mom and dad a new house when I was 5, 6 years old. In my dream, I didn't think about retiring. In my dream, I didn't think about getting hurt. In my dream, I didn't think about no one getting old. I thought I could play forever. But you create that parasitic relationship, and now they're just feeding off of you. You feel like you're guilty because you've created that monster. So you can't just snatch the rug from up under. And if they haven't worked when they're 30 and between their 40 and 45, you know they're not going to work when you finish. So I think it's an epidemic that, again, if we talk about the expectations and put them all on the table at the beginning, I think we all be on the same page at the end of it. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious. I know, be quick. But I just have a question. Since you have this beautiful son, Christopher.
Yes.
How do you feel about him with everything you know today about potential?
That's a tough question. I try not to. He's not a junior because I want him to create his own life for that aspect. But if he wants to play, I'm not going to push him to play. But if he wants to play, I'm going to support him. I think that would go back into line with my book. You know, if I try to prevent him from following his own dreams because it's his life. And it's a tough situation being that you know what can happen in the game of football or any sport. But, you know, I live by the motto, either you're going to rust out or wear out. Which one? Choose one or the other. So it'll be his decision. Thank you, guys.
Stay right here. Well, a couple things. Chris is going to be in the back corner over here. If you want to get his book, how much is the book?
$24.
$24. So he'll be back there, and I'm sure he'll answer any other questions you have. Please accept that as a token of our appreciation for coming to speak to us.
This was a cell phone at first.
We don't appreciate it that much. If you would please sign the book.
Okay.
We read to elementary school students,
Yes,
and we will tell them about your trip here today.
Yes, sir.
And Sybil, if you haven't been to Waffle House, you do not know the religious experience of scattered, colored, and smothered. Okay, so if you would help us put back the tables and chairs, we would appreciate it. Chris will be in the back if you're interested in his book. If there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, we are adjourned.